Hello and welcome to the first TV Unleashed of 2018. It's been a while because life gets in the way and sometimes it just gets in the way and things have to go on the back burner. But we're back and we're doing it on a Thursday today because we're still in football season. And we'll be back on Sundays once football season is over, even though I really don't care anymore because the Steelers had to lose on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm over football, over it. Sunday night when the Saints lost in the last 4 seconds, I stormed out of the house that I was tutoring and I said, I am never watching football again.
For real, until next year, then I'll watch again because Big Ben signed on for 3 more years.
I'm never, no, I'm done. I can't, literally for the past 2 weeks, I've had heart attacks and anxiety attacks for, the second half of these games. I can't do it again. I can't put myself through this. This is why people die young. It's because they watch football.
Yes, exactly. And at this point, I don't even care who makes it. I'm going to a fun Super Bowl party, but I'll just be there to drink and eat and watch the commercials.
As long as it's not the Patriots.
Exactly. Yes, I want to see Tom Brady cry like a little baby if he doesn't get to the Super Bowl.
I have to deflate my balls. I'm such a horrible person. I feel bad. All you Patriots fans, go you, and I hope that your team gets there, and then I hope they lose. So,
Yes. I also want them to lose because I don't want to hear about Tom Brady's balls anymore.
Yeah, that's so inappropriate. His balls. I'm sick of hearing that Donald Trump is in perfect health.
Yes, exactly. Giselle can go play with Tom Brady's balls, but the rest of us don't want to deal with them anymore.
Yeah, I'm done with it. I'm over it. It's let's put a kibosh on this. We're done.
Exactly. But there's been so much going on, especially with TV. Lots of reboots going on. Today, actually, about a couple of hours ago, they announced a Party of Five reboot. That's really not a reboot because it's about a completely different family and a completely different situation. Nobody from the show is actually involved.
Makes no sense from what I've understood because I get some of my gossip from you, and it kind of has a foster premise going on. So I'm if it's Party of Five, bring back somebody from Party of Five. When they did 90210 again, they at least brought back some of the cast. So don't do me like that.
Exactly. I mean, bring back Julia and have her, lose her husband or something and have her sister come in and raise the kids or something, not just bring back a completely different family that no one's heard of. I mean, I understand the concept they're doing, that I think the parents are being deported or something like that, which is
supposed to be in the now subject, but it's okay, Matthew Fox is not on Lost anymore, so he can come back. Scott Wolf's show got canceled. He can come back. Neve Campbell hasn't done anything in 20 years. She can come back. I think that Lacey Chabert's off doing her Hallmark films. I get it. She doesn't have to come back. But everybody else, they can come back.
Yes, exactly. And little Owen, I don't know what happened to baby Owen, but he can come back too. They could all come back. And Jennifer Love Hewitt can just make another appearance and tell her ex up yours and again and be done with it. But we don't need it. Just call it what it is, a completely different show with a similar concept. And then they're bringing back a different version of Roswell.
They figured that kids that are 13-year-old kids who haven't binge watched Roswell or binge watched Party of Five won't have any idea about the show. So they'll think oh, a reboot, this is so cool. They won't get it, that it's a completely different scenario. It's let's be real here. Grey's Anatomy is ER on steroids.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a similar concept, just a different show. Which, by the way, that's starting again tonight, along with Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder.
You have to say it right. Say it like Viola. How to Get Away with Murder.
And I believe this is actually Scandal's last season, so I'm curious to see where that goes. And Grey's Anatomy is going to be on for another 20 years. And
oh God, I can't take that show anymore. It gives me a headache.
I stopped watching once all the main characters from the original started getting killed off. Once Steamy and McDreamy and McDouchebag started getting killed off, I was just like, I'm done.
Once Sandra Oh left, I was like, okay, I don't need this anymore. I'm done.
Yeah, and it's like the same 5 storylines over and over again. Something happens at the hospital and a bunch of people die. Something else happens. Car crash or a plane crash. It's like, come up with something original already. I'm done.
Well, I mean, I hate to break it to you, but that's kind of like what happens at a hospital. Just saying.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. But I just can't watch anymore because I think it's one of those shows that ran on a little too long. Just like Friends, it just seems like they ran out of ideas after a while. And
Yeah,
I'm binge watching it on Netflix, and I love the show, but after a while, it's just like you ran out of ideas and you're just making things up just to keep the show on the air.
yeah, it is getting a little bit tiresome and frustrating, but reboot kind of why tonight's episode is it's kind of what it's centralized or centered. I can't even think anymore. Centered around because the Roseanne reboot or revival is coming out March 27th. So we're gonna intermix some Golden Girls episodes with some Roseanne episodes, some classic Roseanne episodes. Because I was raised personally on Roseanne. I was a huge Roseanne fan.
Me
And
too.
I loved it. And I actually introduced my boyfriend to it a couple of weeks ago, and he was just laughing hysterically because the only show he was allowed to watch that was kind of like naughty growing up was The Simpsons. And so for him it was like really cool to watch. But there's a little bit of controversy. Roseanne has been saying the on Twitter, she's been saying some things that have kind of rub people the wrong way, so it's making people not necessarily want to watch the show. And I think people have to forget that they have to remember one thing, that during Roseanne's run, when Roseanne was married to Tom Arnold, she was all over the place, yet the show still maintained its popularity because underneath the actress lied a really great show with a really great premise, a really great concept, and some really great material. So that's kind of the jumping off point for tonight, is that we're going to be going back to the 80s.
I feel like I should have my big hair and my crimper done and my bright colors.
You need to get it all done up, and we're going to go back to the first episode of. Now, the one thing that I want to say is that the other day, it was bothering the hell out of me because on the new version of Roseanne is going to be a Trump supporter. That's what they have talked about, how she is going to be this hardcore Trump supporter, or that's what they're alluding to. And I was trying to figure out why they would make Roseanne, out of everybody in that household, a Trump supporter.
You know what? I don't understand why they chose Roseanne in particular, but I think it's a refreshing change because I don't care one way or another who supports whom, but everything seems to be anti-Trump. It's nice. It's a refreshing change to see someone actually give support to the president, because after a while, the same anti stuff gets a little bothersome after a while. But why Roseanne? I don't know. But Roseanne always thought outside the box, so it's a Roseanne. For me, it's a Roseanne thing. Roseanne always did something that surprised us. So if that's what she wants to do, then more power to her.
Well, I thought about it because they put Jackie with one of the little cat on, from the Women's March. So
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out, and I realized that in a lot of ways, it's kind of mocking. What Roseanne's doing is mocking middle America. Those are the people who voted for Trump. And so it had to be that she would be the one who would be a Trump supporter, because she's saying it was because they always claimed that they were white trash and they were the poor people and they couldn't really get by. But those were really stereotypically, and I'm not saying that everybody was like this, but those were the stereotypical people who were at the rallies, the ones who were the gun-toting, low-income families who were like, Trump's going to make everything different. So it would only make sense for her to, in her own way, mock those people.
I don't know. I'm just curious to see how they're going to handle it. So I'm just going to watch it with an open mind and just see how they handle it. But I'm excited because everyone's coming back. I mean, obviously Roseanne and Jackie and Dan's coming back from the dead, and then we have Becky.
mind-boggling that they're not even going to address the giant elephant in the room, that they ended the series with all these twists and turns, and the show wasn't even real. It went on for 9 years, and it turned out in the series finale that the show wasn't even real, and it was just a book that Roseanne had been writing all these years. And in my mind, there has to be even if it's for 10 seconds, there has to be some addressing from the cast that this happened, that the show ended in a certain way, whether it's everybody sitting there with the book open just saying, oh man, can't believe you would write us like this, like just just mocking it, or Roseanne waking up from dream like, oh god, I'm glad I never wrote that book. They just saying something to us
Like the whole
diehard.
Dallas thing. Remember on Dallas when Bobby Ewing came back from the dead and came out of the shower and Pam's like, I had this dream you were dead and this and this and this happened for an entire season. And he's like,
Yeah, like do something, acknowledge what, like even when on Married with Children, when Peggy was pregnant, and then in real life she lost the baby, so she had to, the actress gal had to take it off. They made it seem like it was a dream year.
yes, yes. I was actually just reading about that recently because they had some article about Katie Seagal on Facebook, and I remember reading about that. And yeah, they could do that. They could do a dream sequence. And I know Will and Grace did something similar because that whole last season didn't happen either.
Yeah, like they just need to say like a line about it, and everybody will be okay. But we can't just go into the series, the revival, pretending like nothing ever happened. But anyways, we're going to start with the pilot episode where we learn about who Roseanne is and basically her family structure. So it's Roseanne. She works at a factory. She's got her husband Dan. He is a freelance drywaller who seemingly at this point, at the beginning, has his own drywall company but never really gets any work done. So he kind of just hangs out with his buddies and drinks beer out of a truck. And they have 3 kids. Becky, who's the oldest, and she's like the blonde smart one, but always, the flirt. They have the middle daughter, Darlene, who is the tomboy and kind of like the class clown. And then the youngest one, DJ, who actually subsequently they changed actors for him after the pilot episode, from Sal Barone to Michael Fishman, who went on to play DJ for the rest of the series. And then they have Roseanne's sister, Jackie, who works at the factory with her. She's a single woman. And George Clooney makes, this, he goes from Facts of Life to playing Booker, their boss at the warehouse or the factory.
Who cares? It's George Clooney.
George Clooney, gotta love it, right?
Yes. And he was hot, man. He's hot now. And I wonder what Amal thinks about all this.
She thinks he gets around a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder what she thinks watching him on these sitcoms that she probably watched as a child. And I wonder if she thought, I'm going to marry that man one day.
We all thought that.
Yeah, I know.
Except for the phase where I thought he might be gay.
Yeah. But Amal's one lucky woman.
She really is. And she got to have twins, so she was done after that. And it was like...
And she's smart as a whip. I love that woman. She's so smart. I mean, he married outside of Hollywood. Everyone that knows Amal is a human rights lawyer, and she's a genius. And I think that fact, she's actually going back to that, what we talked about. She's going to be great. She's great for these women to watch, these young girls to watch, because just because she has a famous husband, she still is her own independent woman, has her education, and I think she's fabulous.
She was a good catch, and I think that's what he needed, because if he was going to be with anybody, it was going to have to be somebody who was smart and not after his money, but after something deeper.
Yes, and I think that's exactly why they worked so well. And she's gorgeous, so that helps too.
Not as pretty as us.
Oh, no one is. I mean, come on now. But getting back to Roseanne, I mean, the first episode, we do learn about everyone. And like you said, Darlene is the class clown and is constantly in trouble for barking in class, which, okay, I mean, we all did stupid things, but that's completely random. And you know who Darlene always reminded me of? Do you ever see that cartoon Daria on MTV?
Yes.
That's who she reminds me of.
She was definitely Daria, and Becky was definitely Quinn, except Becky was actually smart and Quinn wasn't.
No, Quinn was just
an airhead.
Yeah, pretty much. I was trying to find a nice way to put it.
Oh, Quinn was an airhead. And so we learned that. So there's a classic scene in the intro episode when all the women at the factory are talking about how great Dan is and how lucky Roseanne is to be married to him. And she's like, "You think he came that way?" And she takes a donut and she breaks apart the different pieces that she had to fix, like all the stuff that his mother did to him and all the stuff his friends did to him. And then she goes, her favorite part is the male ego. And then she chomps like the whole donut. And it's true because
it's so true. Oh my God, it's true.
Like, men come to you, and I think women too, we come to men in a certain way with all of our expectations and our Prince Charming mentality. This is what we want. And there's a certain level of breaking the donut, so to speak, in order to get them to where they are. That presentation level of, okay, I can now take you out and have people wish that you were mine. I mean, I think there's a level of, when you get to a certain point in your life, I mean, Dan and Roseanne had met in high school, so that was different. But I think as you get older, especially like when you're in our age bracket, you now have already dated all of those guys who are just fixer uppers that you decided to just burn the house down. So now at the point where we're like, okay, we don't need the property brothers anymore. We're just going to find a guy who's got most of his house built, and we'll just do little things, little fixer uppers, and that's okay. But she really just does make a very good point that there are times where you meet a guy and they don't come. There's an investment of sorts that you make in a man.
It's so true, though. All of it. She just did it so perfectly. And with the donut, that was just like the perfect symbolism. That was just fabulous. I loved it.
I can't tell you how many times I have left a relationship fatter because they made me want to eat the donuts. And I had also helped them become a better person because I had chopped off all the donutty crap.
I thought you were going to say you chopped off something else, and I'm like, where's this show going?
I didn't run a bob at them. I'm just saying.
I know, but that's what I thought you were going to say. You're like, I chopped off, and I'm like, all right, where's she going with this?
No.
And I like how we make Lorena bobbiting a verb now.
It's totally a verb. We're verbing. But, yeah, so she talks about that. We meet her friends, and we learn that her and Dan have this very imperfect, perfect marriage. And we see that he really doesn't, he's a good dad and he does what he can around the house, but he is complacent in his own way. She has to do everything. She has to go to the school in Darlene Bark. She has to go get a new backpack for Becky, but she gets the wrong color. She has to get the knots out of shoes for DJ. She has to do this. She has to do that. And he just kind of is like, oh, well, I got a bill. Women rule the world. And that was really the first time in a very long time where we saw a woman dominating the household.
Exactly. And what I liked about the show too, and I was actually speaking to my mom about this not too long ago, that was the last family sitcom on where they showed family realistically, other than Boy Meets World. That's the only sitcom I can think of off the top of my head where it was a realistic family, where we all struggle, we all have problems with our husbands and this and that, but it was realistic problems, not that this husband did this and that, wanted to buy the sports package for a million channels. It was an actual problem. Someone lost their job, someone did this, someone did that, and even the storylines with the children when later on in the series Becky decides to have sex for the first time and she talks to her mother and her aunt about birth control. It's really realistic stuff that we all went through when we were younger, and we went through with our families. And I think they're the perfect representation of what a true family is. I mean, granted, they're a bit exaggerated in certain ways, but it's a real true family. And I think that's the last show where we really actually saw that.
It was the first to do it. It really goes no mother's perfect. Mothers get impatient. Not everybody, yeah, they eat together at dinner, but they don't cook these elaborate meals. They'll eat their corn. Every episode, there's corn in it. Like nobody's perfect, but in the end of the day, when towards the end of the episode, Darlene gets a cut, and Dan and Roseanne have to work together to like fix up the cut, and at the end of it, when Darlene's all better, they kind of like grab each other's hands and they decide to start cooking dinner. And it's almost like there's a level of teamwork that they have together that supersedes any of the bad drama.
Exactly. And I think they did that perfectly. And throughout the whole series, that's exactly what you see. And even when Roseanne gets another job in the later on in the series at the lunchbox, I mean, you see her working blue collar job that most people actually realistically work. I think it's the perfect representation of what family truly is. Not necessarily what they do for a living or anything like that, but the true representation of what a real American family is, supporting each other, being there, struggling together, the ups and downs. And even when Jackie's there and she had her struggles, they all came together. And I thought that was a beautiful thing.
Well, Jackie was, because she really represented a woman, because she was like 30 at the time she had a kid. She had always wanted to have a kid by a certain age. Get married. She tried 10,000 different jobs until she found one she was satisfied with when they opened the lunchbox together. And which was a diner that they had opened. But for those of you who don't know, so she got pregnant at a one night stand, and she got married in her late 30s, and it was like that stuff that we now do, and that it was hope, that it gave us a little bit of hope now. This is like something that people are doing now, and she was doing it back then. It was very Murphy Brown of her, except she wasn't living this high profile, businessy job.
Exactly. Yes. And that's another show we've got to do. We've got to go back to Murphy Brown, because she's part of the reason I became a journalist in the first place, because I loved watching her when I was a kid.
It was the kind of family that was really just a family. Like they didn't make excuses for the way they were, and they were proud of not being perfect. And I like that. And I like that they allowed their kids to go through depressions and sadnesses and be unhappy and not be perfect. And that was great, because that's kind of how I think a lot of kids should be raised. I feel like if you put so many expectations on your children, they're just going to rebel against them. And by just being down to earth and saying, okay, do the best that you can, people excel in life.
Exactly. And I think, and they're the family that you see like at the grocery store every week. And they're just, the typical American family. And you're right. They did let their kids go through certain phases and go through certain things, but they also didn't let them get away with things either.
Yeah, they weren't, they grounded their kids, which was something you didn't really see very much, but you also saw them be hard about it and be like, no, you're not going to get away with murder, and you're not going to you're not going to walk all over us. And that was good. And the mother was always Roseanne was always one step ahead of her children. It was almost like, my mom says, don't BS a BSer, but she says it with the full expletive, because she's already been there.
Exactly.
So she knows
what they were doing
to get in. So
yeah. I think like every mom is like that, though. It's like they know what your kid is up to, whether you want to admit it or not. They know, and that's why I never got away with anything. It's like my mom always knew, so I knew better. So
yeah, my mom pretty much always. I was always pretty honest with my mother, and
Same.
I think something that was true with the girls too on that show was that they were pretty honest with their mother, because they kind of knew that their mother always knew, even when they were lying. Their mother knew that they were lying.
Yes. And like I said, going back to the storyline with Becky, having sex for the first time, at least it was a show where it was open enough where they were able to talk about it honestly and realistically. Like, okay, you used something your first time, but now I'm taking you to the doctor to get on the pill, blah, blah, blah. And that was the thing, the first show I can remember where that actually happened. Whereas on show, what was it, 90210, when Brenda and Dylan first had sex, she kind of snuck around, had a pregnancy scare, and kind of snuck around all the time. And really, there was no real discussion about it.
No, there wasn't. And that was one of the shows that was, you would think that was more, but that was in a way showing a different side of realism where kids were sneaking around and they didn't have the parents. And I mean, I remember having the conversation with my mother and about that. So it did prep, I think, a lot of parents for that conversation, that talk, and make it seem, like it's gonna have to happen at some point. You're just gonna have to accept it.
And it's nothing to be embarrassed about. That was the thing. They showed there's nothing to be embarrassed about. That.
It's okay to be poor. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to live paycheck to not, well, it's not fun, but it's okay to live your life like that, and then to want better for.
Exactly. Thank you. That is the perfect point. They wanted better children, which is why, again, I don't think they let kids get away with everything, because they wanted them to have the best life they could, better than they had. They didn't want struggle, which is why they didn't let them get away with certain things as well.
It was a lot of life lessons. Like, okay, you could follow my path of not going to college and working at fast food restaurants in your 30s, which there's nothing wrong with, because I hear fast food restaurants are starting to pay a lot of money. But or you can go back to school and get an education and actually do something. And they were always trying to say, like, don't throw away good opportunities. Even if they were hesitant about the opportunities, they thought about them. They thought, okay, where am I? Where can they be?
Yeah, always reach for something more. And going back, I just want to point out, just because you work at a fast food restaurant doesn't mean you're uneducated. I know plenty of people that have worked at fast food restaurants because it was a second job to support their family. Now, basically, they told you to do what you have to do, but always reach for something more. There's always more ahead that you could reach for.
Exactly. Like, that was the one thing that Roseanne at one point had to go work at like a KFC kind of restaurant, and it was degrading to her because of the fact that her boss was like a teenager. And the truth is that she did it because she had to support her family. And I think that that is so respectful, because I'm the kind of person who I will do whatever I have to do to take care of my family and take care of the people that I love. So if I had to do that tomorrow, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But I also feel that if I was with working with younger kids, my whole thing to them would be plan better. Like, I would use it as a learning tool. And I think that's kind of what Roseanne was always doing, was saying, there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing, but here's my learning tool for you. Here's my advice for you.
I mean, when I was younger, my brother was very sick, and my mom took a job at a fast food restaurant because that was what she had to do. They gave her the time off she needed when my brother was having his surgeries. Let us come in and sit there after school. They took care of us, but she did what she had to do. And my mom's a very strong woman, and in a lot of ways, my mom is like Roseanne in that way. She said, I'm doing what I have to do to support you, and this is what I have to do because my family comes first. And I think that is also a very good lesson, both from my mom and from Roseanne, is you put your family first. I mean, Roseanne could have taken a job where she wasn't home all the time and, gotten a big glamorous job, but instead she took a job where she was able to support her family and also be there for her kids, which I think is more important than the kind of job you have, because the kids remember stuff like that. I mean, I remember, even though my mom had her job, she still was always at our recitals and whatnot. And a lot of times parents can't always make it if they have a corporate job. And again, there's nothing wrong with either one, but Roseanne had the best of both worlds, I think, in that sense, because she had her job, she was still supporting her family, but she was always there when her kids needed her as well.
And I think that's why you and I, our generation, certain people are focused like us. We wait to have kids because we want to have our careers first, because by the time we have kids, we will have had a lot of experiences, and we will maybe be a little bit settled in a different way so that when we have our kids, they won't have to miss out on um, anything. You know, I see some parents who, having been a nanny before and all that stuff, I see parents who they're they're not new to their careers, but their careers are so high powered all day and all night at their jobs, and it's like, but you have kids and you don't want to miss out on things. They have their kids, like, you can have it all. Sometimes you have to put for the other and make a decision. And I think you and I, we said, okay, we want all of these, and we can have all of these, but what is fulfilling to us now?
Exactly. We can have it all, but not all have it all at the same time. We have to prioritize when we have it all. Like right now is our career. Later on will be our marriage and our kids.
I don't want my children to suffer because of um my decisions that I've made, because I am just starting out in a career and be home for them unless I just don't really like them.
No, I plan to be a very big hands-on mom, and that's why I'm doing everything I can now. That way, when I do have kids, I could all the time and be at all the little plays and take them to their baseball games or whatnot, because that's what's important to me, being, a hands-on mom and being there for them.
I could just see you trying to carry a child. You're like 4'11".
10, but yes. My kid be taller than me by the time they're 3.
Oh my gosh, that's gonna be like, people joke with me that I'm gonna be the one who has twins. I'm like, I'm 5'2". Where are they possibly going to go?
I don't know. Well, if the kids make my TITS bigger, then I'll take it.
I like how you just spelled that word out. That is what is probably the most amusing thing to me about like my whole day. Like my whole week has pretty much been like just a crap week. But the fact that you just spelled that out just really turned the whole thing around for me. It was like, that just changed everything. Because I just don't even know. Like, are you gonna be like, hey, before we go, I have to TITS feed my child? Like, okay, great, Sammy. That works. Like, for real, dude.
I have a 2-year-old goddaughter. I mean, I FaceTime with all the time, so I'm used to not cursing in front of her because they have a swear jar that you have to put $1 in every time you swear. And anyone that knows me knows that if I did that in front of her at times, she could go to Harvard University by now. Plus, we're on air, so I'm used to spelling things out in front of Isabella. So it's just automatic now. Just like start spelling things out because
I'm horrible. Because when my best friend's daughter starts swearing, she's 4. If she ever says a bad word, I start cracking up, and I'm like, do it again, do it again. It's like hilarious, but they're like, and though they laugh, like her parents, they're kind of immune to it now at this point, but they just don't want her to say it at the wrong time, like at school or in public
or in church.
Or in church. But I'm like, oh, this is great. Do it again. Do it again. I'm like a puppy. Like if she's like a puppy, like say it. And they're like, oh my gosh, no, don't say it. Don't say it. And for me, I mean, I had a boyfriend once, and she called him an effer, and like and now looking back at it, I mean, she was so accurate, psychic, but I just think that when kids swear, it's like as cute as it is when kids wear glasses. Like, it's I love
things. It's like, it's naughty, but you can't help but laugh because you're like, oh my god, what did they just say?
If my kids were to swear, I would be on the floor dying and laughing and like peeing myself, and someone would have to get me up off the floor because because I love that they're always like, oh, they learned it from their nana and papa, and I'm like, I'll know damn well where they're gonna learn it.
Yes. I'll be that mom would be like, honey, I'll be that mom. It's like, honey, that's not very nice to say. And then be like laughing and calling you like, you won't believe what my kid just said right now.
I will be recording them as they say it. I'm like, say what you just said. Say it. And then I'll be
Say for TV Unleashed, honey.
Say it for Auntie Sammy so she can hear you. Like, I'm going to be that. license, so I'm just putting out a fair warning for everybody that like if you want a cursing child, it's going to be my child. And the worst part is that I probably won't even get lucky to have a child who curses. So they'll probably be like this angel child. God, what do I do with one of those?
Corrupt them.
I'll
Make them
have
like
like
the Golden
Rose
Girls.
child.
Turn them into Sophia.
I want a Blanche child, and I'll get a Rose child. This will be great.
I can just so see you with a Rose child.
So pure from St. Olaf, and I'll be like, "What is wrong with you? Did you get switched at birth?"
We should take a road trip to St. Olaf to see what it's really like.
You can call the people from the road. Like, really? You want to know what St. Olaf is like? You just call people from St. Gustav.
Yes, we're going to both. We're going to St. Gustav and St. Olaf and film on location.
If we do that, I am totally all in, and I am so excited, and I want to be Woman of the Year, and I want my chocolate statue. I'm just saying.
Yes, exactly. I don't want to be cousin Sven.
Oh my God. Hello, cousin Rose. How are you? I'm in love with Blanche.
Yeah, just the way he said it, and then he offered to kill dinner for them.
Yes, yes. And then he fell in love with Blanche, and then he saw his wife.
Olga,
And oh God.
the mean Swedish machine.
Oh my God. That was I see I remember falling asleep to that episode, so I think that's why I can do his accent so well because or maybe I'm from St. Olaf.
I don't know, but I just love the part when they meet for the first time. They're like, Cousin Rose, Cousin Sven, boy, you've grown.
Forever. When have you met? Never. And then and then Blanche kept calling him, "Hi, Swen."
Yes, because she used him because Floyd was cheating on her. Remember?
Yes, and then he was like, "Oh, you mean Floyd?" And then he like kept mocking her for being like cheated on, and it was just, oh gosh, I love Cousin Sven, and we never heard about him again. See, that was the problem with that show. I have to say that I'd bring that back up. At least with Roseanne, they may have changed like who was played the character, some of the characters, but they were always consistent with their friends, and they always had the same friends.
Yes.
And family. We lost a lot of these people along the way. I mean, Stan's cousin from another country. We lost cousin Sven. Like, do we have a memoriam for them?
That's what I'd like to know. And speaking of Stan's cousin, I'm just curious about what's in Vanna White's book that changed her life and made her want to go back to Yugoslavia.
Okay, so here's the thing. I've decided something.
All right.
So this is my big thing before we sign off. Okay, so I think that we should do a thing called, you know how they do spring training? We should do spring reading.
Okay.
And I think that we should set a date in the middle of February where we order Vanna White's book.
I
And
can do this.
and we're gonna tell everybody about it. And we'll even give away one free copy, but we'll figure out a promotion, but we'll give away one free copy. And we're all gonna do a book club, guys. This is a thing. And we're all gonna read Vanna White's book. And we're all gonna watch that episode. And then we're gonna have like a little forum at the beginning of spring. When spring training starts, we're gonna do our spring reading and we're gonna read this book. And we are all gonna try to figure out what is so life-changing about Vanna White's book. But we're not gonna discuss it beforehand. We're only gonna discuss it during the show. And we're gonna see if we can find some minuscule thing in this book
that makes it a hell of a book.
Makes it a hell of a book.
Exactly. We had to do it while drinking Slurpees, though, because remember, Magna always drank the Slurpee.
11.
Yeah, I think I have a 7-Eleven I have a 7-Eleven in downtown Pittsburgh I can go to.
And there's one near my boyfriend's house, I think, and there's also one like near my house. And so we'll definitely make sure that we have our Slurpees, and we're gonna do this, and we're even gonna tweet Vanna White about it. So we're gonna get her prepared for it. We are going to find out what is so monumental. And I have to also, before I forget, I have to give a really big shout out to Betty White for turning 96 yesterday.
Yes, we posted on Facebook, and now we can do it in person on the show. Happy birthday, Betty White. We love you. You're amazing, and I wish you were my grandma.
I think everybody wishes that, like, I almost wish she's like my best friend. Like, she's so freaking awesome. Betty White, you are awesome. You are a tribute to life. You've lived a great life. You have just done everything, and you make people smile, and you never stop to make people smile. You never cease to amaze anybody. And I think that you are just the ultimate woman the ultimate friend, the ultimate
Everything.
everything. You are there's no words to describe how. I mean, I've been on conference calls with her I think twice now,
Yeah,
and
me too.
every time I've been on a conference call with her, she's been nothing short but just a genuine kind soul and a kind spirit. And I mean, we've been on conference calls with people of all actors of all calibers and all ages, and I have to say, out of all of them, Howard Stern was, a lot of people ask me, how was Howard Stern? And he was actually, I found him to be quite a gentleman.
He was super cool, super sweet. That's actually one of the first events we did together.
Yeah, it was one of our first events, and he was super sweet. But I have to say that out of all of the people that we've interviewed, or had the pleasure of talking to and speaking with and listening to, she's one of the most wholesome, sweetest, kindest people ever. And I remember people kept calling her Miss White, and I remember titling my piece "Call Me Betty, Please," because that's what she kept saying. Please call me Betty. Please call me Betty, because she was just such a nice person, and I can't say enough nice things about her. And I truly wish that she could live forever. I know she can't, but please give us another 5 to 10 years.
Exactly. And actually, on one of those conference calls we were on together, I had a question. I asked her about her animal shelter, and my cat was meowing in the background. And I'm like, oh, my cat wants to say hi too. And she's like, oh, well, give your cat a little kiss from Betty White. And it just like made my life forever. And my brother like thought I was so impressed with that. He even tweeted about it and Facebooked about it. It's like Betty White gave my sister's cat a shout out.
She's just such a sweetheart, and like, I mean, we've talked to some great people, I have to say, but she for somebody who's been in this business, she's a legend. And for somebody who's been in this business for as many years as she has, she really is just the consummate professional and just a sweetheart. She's just genuine, down to earth. I think we've said so much about Betty White now, and I mean, I'd love to talk to Roseanne too. I really would like at least 10 minutes of her time to just pick her brain and find out, hear some zany stories, if anything. So Roseanne, if you're listening, which you might be, might not be, I would love to listen to you. But so we'll be back. I don't know if we'll be back next. Well, we're gonna pick a day next week where we're gonna be back. We're gonna figure it out. Right now, the schedules are all kind of crazy right now because we both work. We both have. There's a lot of sporting events going on. There's a lot of craziness going on. It's a crazy time, but we're gonna pick a day next week. We'll be back. We'll post it up for you. We don't know exactly what show we're gonna do. If you like the Roseanne concept, let us know on Facebook or Instagram. If you want us to go back to Golden Girls, we'll go back to Golden Girls. We're going to figure out something, but we'll be back next week with a brand new show, and we might even do celebrity gossip. We don't know. We'll take it anywhere we want to go, because that's just kind of how we are. Oh, by the way, who was your favorite dress at the Golden Globes, by the way? Did you have a favorite dress? Because I did take notes on that.
Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember now. There's so many good ones. I like Mandy Moore, Viola Davis's.
Okay, I took notes. Hold on. That's why you can't see me, because I took notes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how lame I am. I actually took notes. Okay. So my best dressed was Kerry Washington from Scandal, because she had the slit, and she has the most amazing body, the hair. I mean, that's a way to end Scandal. I mean, she looked beautiful. And then my worst was Angelina Jolie. Those sleeves, the puffiness. I mean, she looked like a rejected Cruella de Vil.
She did though.
So I mean, like, I went through all of these pictures, and I know that night was it was all about black, and I understand the concept behind it, so I understand that everybody was trying to like outdo themselves in black, and it's really hard to try to take a new spin on black. But Kerry Washington, she just was banging out that door. She was like, I'm leaving this Golden Globes with my own Scandal, and she looked great. But that Angelina Jolie, man, was she hiding children in her sleeves?
I don't know what she
all of her kids in her sleeves?
I have no idea, but no, I didn't like her dress either.
She looked horrible. I mean, Oprah. I mean, I know everybody said such great things about Oprah. Oprah looked the best she's looked in, I mean, maybe her entire career. She looked phenomenal. But and Angelina, like, no, you had dust ruffles for sleeves.
I don't know what she was thinking, but thumbs down on that dress.
That dress was horrible. I mean, come on, wear a suit.
I don't
I
know what she was thinking.
can't. I can't comprehend it. It hurts my head.
Yeah, it was. I didn't like it either. No bueno. No bueno. I didn't like it at all.
No, it was not a good dress, and I think she should sue whoever her stylist was and just putting that out there. And if she says it was one of her children, then she needs to get rid of that child and replace it with someone else.
I know, but then again, she had her children draw on her wedding dress and then had it embroidered. So who knows what goes on in her mind?
Nothing, because it's empty.
It's supposed to wear her husband's blood. Why are we even trying to?
You know what? If she had worn her husband's blood in just that, I think I would have liked it better than that. She had like floppy arms. It was like if she waved at you, you wouldn't know if it was her arm or
Wings.
She was about to fly away. I was like, goodbye, Angelina. Go
And,
get your broom.
and the thing is, she usually dresses so nicely, so I don't know what was going on.
I
Mandy?
don't know. And now I've turned purple, apparently.
I'm turning into a Teletubby.
Thank you. I thought I was going to go with Purple Rain, but okay, whatever. I was going to be Prince, but you just turned me into a giant scary nightmare thing that was taken off the shelves for giving kids nightmares.
You start singing Purple Rain Sophia style.
Purple rain, purple rain.
I loved that episode. And why are you purple, by the way?
I have no idea. But on that note, we will see you guys next week. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope that you watch Roseanne. You can see it on Amazon Prime. If you're a student, get an Amazon Prime account for like $5. So go for it, or just like borrow friends. I don't know. Do it whenever you can. It's illegal, but net neutrality's gone.
All right. Bye, everyone. See you next week.
Bye. I'm purple. Bye.